Have you ever wondered why paint protection films are so expensive? And if it's even worth doing on your own vehicle? Well, before I ever started installing paint protection film in 2017, I was actually on the consumer end of PPF. I was paying for somebody else to install it on my own vehicles. Now, I had detailed and paint corrected and ceramic coated dozens of other vehicles at that time that already had paint protection film on it, but we ourselves had never applied it at that point in time. And then since 2017, when Windows and Wheels did start offering PPF in-house, I have personally installed PPF on hundreds of other vehicles. So in this video, I'm going to discuss my own personal experience of paying to have PPF applied to my vehicle. We're also going to discuss what things to consider when you're thinking about whether or not you should have PPF applied to your car. And then finally, of course, we're going to talk about how much does this stuff actually cost. To start though, there's always a question that people looking to have PPF applied to their vehicle for the first time ask us, and that is there a less expensive option that's going to give my vehicle the same level of protection? Very valid question. People ask if vinyl or ceramic coatings, both of which are less expensive than PPF, would be able to provide a similar level of protection to their car. Vinyl is a great film with massive amounts of colors that you can choose from. It's actually a thinner material, so a lot of times it can be ideal for wrapping things like door handles or chrome deletes or other really intricate areas. And ceramic coatings have the advantage of keeping your car cleaner for longer. This helps reduce light swirl marks that happen when you're actually washing the car. And it also has the advantage of leaving a glossy finish really deep and wet looking, or it can leave a matte or satin finish with a nice, sleek, sexy look to it. Ceramic coatings are a liquid though, which means they're not going to be any good at actually stopping blunt force hits like rock chips, tire treads, shopping carts. Shit like that. And while vinyl is a film, just like paint protection film is a film, it is about half the thickness of PPF, which means it doesn't take much for rocks to be able to break through them, tear the film, and damage the paint underneath. It also has the disadvantage of, in very hot states, especially like Arizona, having a very short lifespan. So when it comes to long-term durability, protecting your paint against rock chips, scratches, assholes with shopping carts, PPF is definitely going to be the king of the hill with that one. Now, while I've been doing paint corrections and ceramic coatings on cars since 2010, since we didn't actually start installing PPF in-house at Windows and Wheels in 2017, that meant I had to pay out of pocket when I wanted to get my 2011 Chevy SS Camaro wrapped in PPF in 2015. Now, I had the same film on my car from 2015 all the way up until 2022 when we removed the old film and replaced it with Steck Dyno Gloss Black on the full body, along with some accent pieces of their Dyno Matte film and then their Dyno Forge Carbon on the hood. Now, while I was happy with the PPF that was applied to my Camaro back in 2015, and it most certainly passed the durability test since it lasted a full 7 years before we decided to remove it, there were a couple of things that I regretted from my first purchase. So my first regret was actually the type of film that I decided to have applied. It added a significant amount of orange peel to my car, and with my car being black, that really stood out. And since I had only done the full front third of my vehicle and not the entire thing, it was pretty obvious where the film stopped and where the paint began, because the film area had a lot more texture or orange peel than just the painted areas did. My second regret, honestly, was I wish I would have wrapped more than just the front third. Now, while every car is different, in the case of my Camaro, the rocker panels and the rear fenders actually took quite a beating, and it took away from the new look of my car, which was the entire reason I wanted to get PPF applied to it to begin with. What I did find when I removed the old film, after having driven my car for thousands of miles at various speeds at particular points in time, was that the paint underneath was still in great shape. Now, there were some areas that had some minor indentations, but since the paint hadn't actually chipped away, it wasn't that noticeable unless you got right up on top of it. So for me, in my situation, with my particular car, having PPF was a great choice that I didn't regret at all. Which brings up a second question. How do you know if PPF is the right choice for your car? Spending a couple $1,000s on a $250,000 Ferrari may be a no-brainer in that kind of situation, but what about for the other 99% of cars out there that are not worth $250,000? Over the last 7 to 8 years, I've applied PPF to an assortment of different vehicles, and I came to notice a pattern. The owners typically fell into one of two categories. The first of which is people that were conscious of how quickly their vehicles are depreciating. Now, we all know vehicles are going to depreciate, but just like there are things that we can do to increase the likelihood of us living longer, there are also things that you can do to increase the likelihood that your car's value doesn't drop like a rock. By being able to keep your car's paint OEM and avoid premature wear, you actually increase the value of your vehicle. Think about it. Would you be willing to pay as much for this used piece of shit as you would for this? Even if both were equally mechanically sound and had the exact same mileage on it, I don't think you'd be willing to pay the same amount for either one of these vehicles. And that brings me to the second type of person that we typically see. The second type of person is someone I would describe as a person with extreme pride in ownership. They really deeply care how their things look. And even though film will start to show wear over the years, primarily on the lower bumper areas, it's still gonna look way better than chipped up paint. This was something that was a huge factor for me when I purchased PPF for my Camaro, and it's also something that's been reiterated many times by many of our clients over the years. The film also has the advantage of a self-healing top coat. This means that swirl marks are almost non-existent, and the fact that film is much more flexible than a hard paint means that your light to medium impact rock chips are going to basically leave little to no sign of impact where paint would have most certainly chipped away. How you care for the things that you own can reflect on who you are as a person. And there are a lot of people that are going to spend more than they need to on their homes or clothes or jewelry or electronics, and for some of us, that's just how we are with our cars. It's just worth it. But how much does it actually cost to have that level of protection? There are a lot of things to consider when calculating the price of a PPF install. There's the cost of the material, there's the equipment, and most importantly, there's having someone who's skilled enough to know what the hell they're doing. So if you're wanting to have a premium film applied to your vehicle, and you want to have somebody install it who's going to ensure that it's going to be as beautiful and as durable as it should be, and you want all this done in a facility that has climate controlled as well as an in-house machinery and software that assists in giving a precise of an install as possible, you can expect to pay between $2,000 and $10,000 for your average install. And that's primarily dependent upon how much of your vehicle you want to have wrapped. But even if you're convinced at this point that you do want PPF for your car, you're going to have some massive regrets if you don't know how to choose the best installer. So you can watch our next video that's going to give you 5 things to look for when choosing the right installer for your vehicle.